This rugged wooded island in upstate New York is 11 acres of pristine forest and granite outcroppings. It's called Petra, meaning rock, because there's more rock than not. Petra Island is heart-shaped, which perfectly embodies what Joe Massaro felt when he first laid eyes on it.
I fell in love with the place. When 16, 17 years old, we used to come here and water ski every Saturday and Sunday around all of these rich people's houses.
Joe never forgot about the island, and after a successful construction career, he returned to the lake and bought the island on the spot.
I'm heading back home, and I said, what the hell did I just do? I just bought a friggin' island, you know? What am I gonna do with it?
Petra Island rises up from the very private Lake Mahopac in upstate New York. And although the island has another extraordinary attribute, first and foremost, it's the natural beauty that lured Joe.
The island itself is a gem. It raises almost 100 foot from the water to the center of the island. There's a valley up in here, it's just magnificent. And there's beech nut trees all over the place, some are 200 years old. There's a trail all the way around the island, which I walk all the time.
Joe loved the terrain, but what he didn't know was that the small cottage on the island was designed by renowned architect Frank Lloyd Wright in 1949. And better yet, Wright also left behind drawings for a full-scale house he had intended to build on the island.
What we're looking at here is copies of the original drawings that Frank Lloyd Wright designed in 1949.
Once Joe laid eyes on the design, he was hooked and vowed nothing would stop him from building the home, even though he only had 3 of Wright's drawings to go on.
There's more than enough information to build here, and these drawings prove that. The house is built on a grid system. The grid system that Frank Lloyd Wright used, he starts by dropping one line on a piece of paper. 5 feet later, draws another line. Then he draws one parallel to that, and he draws another one. So when you're finished, it looks like grid paper.
Wright designed the house around a gigantic 60-foot granite stone called the Whale Rock.
It looks like a breaching whale. And if you look behind me, you'll see a big notch in the whale rock. And the first line of the grid is on that notch. So we knew exactly within a ½ inch of where this house was built.
The Whale Rock anchors the entire house.
The rock starts outside of the house, and it creates the entranceway, comes into the house, into the kitchen, to the dining room, and into the bathroom, and goes right back out into the lake.
Once Joe decided to build, he knew he had an uphill battle convincing local officials.
There's no way that this town's gonna let me build this house. Anything you build on a lake has to be 100 foot back from the water. This hangs over 40 foot. That means I need a 140-foot variance. What's the chances? Very, very small.
Lesson number 1, don't ever bet against Joe. Even though it took several years, he eventually got the dozens of permits he needed. In the meantime, he had to figure out a way to get the heavy construction equipment out to the island. The frigid New York winter came in handy.
We had 3 foot of ice up here, so I called my builder up and I said, hey, why don't we move heavy stuff across the ice right now? And we moved everything across the first year on the ice. I took my excavator, backhoe, sand, gravel, as much stuff as I could get in about a 6-week period.
During the summers, everything else was ferried in on a fleet of pontoon boats. Workers lived on the island. Without Wright to supervise, Joe took his cues from his previous work.
All of a sudden, I become a Frank Lloyd Wright nut. But Frank and I would have got along because I'm a hands-on guy. I did a lot of this work myself. I knew every inch of this building. You know, I directed the contractors, I directed the workers.
This massive 75-foot cantilever deck is one of a kind. It's the largest Wright ever designed. It's a 2-foot thick slab of concrete with 2 layers of rebar in it that are stretched after the concrete dries.
And it becomes almost like a bridge, and that's what supports it.
Joe had one shot to get it right.
This entire slab here had to be poured nonstop, 36 hours, okay, of nonstop. We had 2 crews of 20 men in each crew.
In all, over 150 tons of concrete was poured. That seemed easy compared to installing the 26 domed skylights.
You could not walk through here when this was framed out for the skylights. The wood was this far apart. 2x4s, 4 of them together, supporting. The wood I had left over, I could have built this house twice with the wood I had.
The entire project took 4 years to complete. The design of this 5,000 square foot home is signature Frank Lloyd Wright.
You look at it, it's all formed with concrete. Dome skylights, just incredible amount of light in this room. You do feel like you're outside. That's why you call it a patio. And if you look behind me on the entrance, he squeezes you into that entrance. You feel almost claustrophobic. And when you open the doors, you can see right through the entire house.
The house has 4 bedrooms and a library. Every square inch of it is how Frank Lloyd Wright wanted it, furniture included. It's all there in those initial 3 drawings.
I've got 3 queen size and 1 single, just like he wanted. The dressers are where he wanted them and how they wanted them. The kitchen cabinets are exactly where he wanted them. Easy to build with his drawings.
In the kitchen, concrete counters complement the rock wall.
He knew this rock was here. He knew exactly what the height of the rock was, and he wanted it in his kitchen. And you notice on the cabinets here, we have piano hinges. Every hinge in the house, every door and every window is on a piano hinge. And that's what he used. They're quiet, and they work forever.
Wright also got crafty in the master shower.
It's the same rock that we started from the outside going right through the house. Frank even figured out a natural place to put the toothbrush. Right in this little notch here. Fits perfectly.
The only thing Wright didn't have in his plans that Joe wanted?
When I poured the roof, I had him put an extra inch of concrete in that area because I knew I was going to put a helicopter pad in.
That's right, a helipad for an easy commute.
Imagine 15 minutes from New York City to come up here.
Joe spent 4 years building this home, and he thinks Wright would approve.
I didn't make one change. If Frank was here, he'd be proud. What Frank put on that drawing, I put in this house. This house is probably closer to any Frank Lloyd Wright house than anyone that's out there.
Despite all that, when it comes to naming his favorite place on the island, Joe says there's no contest.
The favorite part is the island. I mean, I don't feel like I've come out to the island unless I've taken a walk around it. The island itself is just magnificent.
When Frank Lloyd Wright designed this home, he budgeted it at $50,000. Joe admits he went a bit over that. So what price tag would you put on a private island close to New York City? One that comes complete with a Frank Lloyd Wright masterpiece? The answer when we return. The heart-shaped Petra Island stands in the center of Lake Mahopac in upstate New York. It's dominated by 200-year-old beechnut trees and a 5,000-square-foot home designed by world-famous architect Frank Lloyd Wright. 60 years ago, Wright budgeted this home at $50,000. Today, both it and the island are worth a rock-solid $19.9 million.